Hey everybody, I hope everybody's having a really good week this week. So this week what's popping and dropping is a pop-up cactus card. I just love how these little cactuses have turned out. And this is just our little mock-up. So if you want, we can go ahead and head over to Design Space, and I'm going to show you how we can make this card, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'll meet you there.
Okay guys, here we are in Design Space, and these are all the basic pieces that we will need to make this pop-up card. Don't forget to go up and name and save your project, and you can add any additional pieces that you would like to add. I did make an envelope for this week's project that's in the file here. I did forget to show it in the video and how to put it together, but it's a very simple it's a very simple envelope, so you shouldn't have any problems of putting it together. So why don't we go ahead and get our pieces cut out, and I'll meet you at the craft table and we'll put this together. I'll see you there.
Okay guys, now that we are at the craft table, why don't we go ahead and get our pretty paper out and our two little triangle pieces here. So first thing we can do is go ahead and work our score line on the middle of our card. So let's do that. So once we have that work, what we can do is take our two little corner pieces here, and what I thought we could do with these is make a closure for our card. So if you want, we're going to put our own score lines on these. So if we match them up, they'll be in the same place, each score line. So I'm going to put our two V's together we have here. And then we're going to put them in the corner. And that's about how much I'm going past my corner there. And this doesn't have to be precise, guys. These are just going to be our little holders to keep our card closed. And then I'm going to use my card to make a score line on both of my pieces. So it should look like that when we're done. So now that I have my score lines done, we can take it back and fold it back over on our score lines like so, and then turn it over, and then we're just going to glue these pieces down. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're gluing these little tabs to the back side of our card here, and they won't be seen because we'll have pretty paper on top to hide it. And now that we have this side down, why don't we go ahead and put a little glue on our right side here of our tab and place it down on the back side of our card. So let's go ahead and do that. And once we have this side done, we can go ahead and work our other side. And how this is going to work is we'll just slip that right underneath, so we can go ahead and do our other side too. So now what we can do, since we have our little holders on, is go ahead and put our pretty paper on to cover this up. So let's go ahead and do that. And there's our pretty paper. And then how you can use our little flaps here is you just kind of bend your corner a little and put it right under. Like so. And then we have little closures we can use. All right. So now what we can do is get our cactus out. So I did 3 different colors of green for the cactus. Why don't we do our little box pop mechanism here so they can be drying. So to make our mechanism here, every fold, so the first one, we'll start at the moon shape here. It's going to be a mountain. The next one will be a mountain. The third one is a mountain. And the one after our second set of holes, it's going to be a valley. And then a mountain. And then in the last one is also a mountain. In our valley, that's where we're going to put our glue. And go ahead and we can do that, and we'll stick it to the other side like so. So let's do that. And then while this piece is drying, let's do our next 2 pieces. So mountain, 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 valley, mountain, mountain. And then in our valley, which is between our 2 sets of holes that are closest to each other, we're going to place glue in there again. And then let's go ahead and do our last one. Now let's go back to our first one and get it. It's the one that's been the driest the longest. And we will be using our number 12 1 3/4 by 1/16 of an inch rubber bands. You're going to need 3 of those today. And because this is a smaller mechanism, what we're going to do is take our rubber band and we are going to make sure the rubber band is on the opposite side of our moon shape here. And we are going to do twist and turn and go back again through the hole because it's too big for this one. And if you have a smaller rubber band, you could just use it. And then one more time, twist it and move it back to the opposite side. And you want your rubber band loop to end up on the opposite side of your moon shape here. So if you see, I have the part I can connect on this side behind this wall. So now what we're going to do is fold this piece up to the score line, and then we're going to take and loop it around the whole of the moon up here. So it should end up looking like that. Then what we'll do is fold the moon and this piece back into place. We're going to put glue all over this, fold it up, and on top like so. So let's do that. There's the glue, folding it back over, putting it on top like so. And I'm giving it a little pinch on each side. And then once I've done that, I like to lay the part we glued down on my table, and then I take something and give it a good rub down on the inside to make sure it's really adhered to that other side. And then we have our little pop box here. So we can set that one aside and do our next one. Okay, now that we have our boxes done, we can get our cactus piece out. This is the back piece, the one with the 3 flowers on top. And then our next piece that will go is the piece that lines up with this lower arm and then the smaller cactus on this side. And then that piece with the smaller arm will be neck. And then we'll have the plain one and then an arm. And then the lower arm, a plain side, and then the long arm, which will match up with this side. So what we can do is on these 5 pieces, go ahead and we can work the score line. Okay, so now we have all of our score lines worked. What we can do is get this piece with the long arm that will match up to this side and this piece with the short arm. And what we're going to do is fold this in half, and we're just really kind of doing the matching game. We're going to match it up and glue it together like so. So then we'll have a piece that will look like that on the back. So let's do that. We're going to take this piece that matches this side and we're going to bump it up to the back. So on the back it's looking like that, and on the front it's looking like this. So now we have a cactus again, right? So we're working on our right side. So this piece is plain, there's nothing. So we need to find the side that has nothing on it. And it has the other arm, but it's a little bit lower down than this one. And we're going to take and match this side up, the naked side, nothing, no arm or anything, to this side and glue it just like so. Okay, so let's do that. Now what we have is this arm, this section, and this. So we have like 3 different little sections here. So now we're looking for the piece with the arm. So here's that piece, and that's the piece we're going to fold in half and glue and match up to this arm on the back. Okay, so just like so. So let's do that. Now we have this section, then the little arm, nothing, the longer arm, and then a blank space. So now we're going to match the blank side up to the blank side. Okay, let's do that. Then we should end up with just what we have here. So we can take this piece, but before we do that, on the top here, it's easier if we put our little flower on it. So I got my flower on, and then we're just going to match it up here. So the long arm on this side, and then the shorter one at the bottom on that side. And we're going to glue it to this piece. So you'll open the back up like so, and we're going to put glue all over the back and then adhere it to our piece here. So let's do that. And then when we open it up, we have this pretty neat 3D looking cactus here. Isn't that cool? So what I'm going to do is just set this one aside and we can move on to our next ones. And we're just going to do the same thing. Okay guys, now that we have our cactuses done and our little pop-ups, also I think I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece on the front for my decoration before I go any further, because I think it's going to be easier. So let me do that real quick. We have the front on now. Now we can decide where you want to put your cactuses. It really doesn't matter where you put them. You just don't want them sticking outside of the card. To put your cactuses on, you want to make sure your piece is, this mechanism is folding towards you, excuse me. So you want to make sure it's laying down towards you. So if you want, you can mark this is the bottom where you would put the glue. So we can do that to all of them if you want. And then we just decide where we want these little bad boys. You just don't want it going outside of your card, and you don't want it to hit another cactus. I mean, it can touch it, but you don't want it interfering with it, stopping it from going down. So we already know the front of these, and it's usually when we're putting it on this way, we should see our rubber band piece right here. So we would glue on this area to this. So what I'm going to do is put a little glue on my cactus and then adhere it to my little pop box. This is where I'm going to adhere it to it. And you just kind of want to line it up with the bottom edge of your box. And we want to give that a second to dry so we can go ahead and do our other ones if you want. And let me show you. So that's about where I'm putting the bottom of the cactus on here. So I'm trying to make it just about flush with the box.
And let's go ahead and glue the rest of them on.
So I'm going to put glue on one of mine and just go ahead and place it down where I want it to be, so I can get an idea of where to place the other ones.
And I've kind of got this turned in away from the score line, and I know it's not going to go outside of my card. So you also need to give it a minute to set on the bottom.
And that's what my first one is looking like.
Alrighty, and for the second cactus, I think I'm going to put it on the left side over here, about right here. I think it'll work. Oh, I need to scoot it back just a little. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the bottom of this and place it on my card.
Okay, and for this one over here, what I did is I'm laying this one flat. And then I'm going to take this guy and place him where I know they're not bumping each other and not going outside my card. And then I'm just going to draw me a little line so I know where to place this guy. And then I can just take my glue and put it on the bottom and put him down. So what I'm going to do is finish this up and go put the rest of my things on my card, and then I'll be back to show you the end result. I'll see you in just a sec. Okay guys, so here is the finished product. It says thank you for loving me. And we just did some cactuses in these little circles here, and then we can open our little card up, and there's our cactuses, and it says even when I'm prickly. And I think this is a super cute card, especially if somebody likes cactuses. And to lay this down, you might have to separate your split your cactuses a little so it lays down. So if you have to do that, it's okay. It'll still work. And if you notice how I just kind of split them up there, there you go. You can see that now. And so when you go to fold them down, they'll just lay very nicely in our card. And then, of course, on the back, I did a cactus where we can write a personal message to the person. And I think these little corner holders turned out pretty good to hold our card together, where we're not having to use a lot of extra material for this to close. Do you guys know what one cactus said to the other? Looking pretty sharp. Guys, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and crafting with me. Don't forget to stop by next week to see what's popping and dropping. Bye.